Thank you for joining us, and I hope you stay for the talk back. So please, as you can see, welcome the filmmaker, Jake Pasena, and the featured artist, Gabby Padilla. Thank you for joining. So, diretso na tayo sa tanong. Or siguro, Jay, maybe you can give a background paano to na nagsimula yung project. Oo. Yeah. I-press mo lang dapat.
Pero una sa lahat, maraming salamat po. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ma'am Boots, for hosting our screening. If you've seen the first part, at saka yung poetry, those are film clips from artists in residence that I attended to Rico Santa Cata, a place that was devastated 15 years ago, exactly 15 years ago by the Great Eastern Japan earthquake and tsunami. So I was invited to be part of that. And then I witnessed the city rebuilt and reformed. So that basically inspired me to make this film. So, yun.
And sinubmit mo yung script sa Cinemalaya. Yun pagkaintindi ko.
Ang background ko, visual artist.
Oo nga, kasi kilala ko siya sa painter, sa visual artist.
Tapos, music video. Tapos, pangarap ko gumawa ng pelikula matagal na. But I'm afraid of doing one. So sabi ko sa sarili ko, I would like to write something that I would make balang araw. I started developing it 2019. And then, 2022 sinali ko sa Cinemalaya. Sabi ko something that will push me. Kung matutuloy ito, then it will push me. So one step at a time. So, and then I developed that further and further hanggang nung ginagawa namin. Hanggang nung sinushoot na namin, hanggang ini-edit. So it was something that I really learned a lot. A different process in a certain way.
Kanina, nung bago tayo nagsimula, sabi mo parang interesting yung kwento, how Gabby came into the picture. Would you like to share that? Okay lang ba? Oo, kasi parang maganda rin na, kasi diba, art is not predictable. Yung process, talagang minsan, hindi natin alam anong mangyayari, pero mas maganda yung pinakalabasan.
I think that's one thing na inano ko rin sa sarili ko. Kasi as a painter, I don't paint by numbers or color. Yung parang very spontaneous at the same time, inaalaw ko na mag-shift or dalhin ako kung saan as a painter. So when I was doing this, alam ko na dadaloy lang siya as I go through it. Tapos, nandito kami sa Pilipinas, we were preparing. There was a different actress. So we were able to meet her and then we were able to discuss with her. But unfortunately, it didn't push through. Nandun na kami sa Japan. We were all preparing. We were actually shooting day zero. Nag-shoot na kami ng mga background, yung mga ganyan. And then, hindi siya makakarating yung aming supposed to be Ella. So, Direk Dan Villegas, our main producer, sila yung medyo aligaganon kasi syempre, sila yung producer. Lahat kami nandun na sa Japan. Nasa Rico Santa Cata na kami, which is 6 hours away from Tokyo. Tapos, hindi ako masyado nagsasalita. Sabi ko, okay, sige, ayoko kayong bigyan ng problema. Basta kapag dumating yung tao, magpapalit. Dapat ready ako. Tapos they were talking to me about different actresses and then sabi niya, may eureka moment si Direk Dan nun eh. Sabi niya, sige, tatawagan ako. I'm gonna ask her and then let's see if okay siya. So it was Saturday night that, kasi Thursday kami nandun eh. Friday, nagsushoot kami, nalaman namin hindi lilipad yung actress. Sabado, confirmed na hindi siya lumipad kasi flight niya morning. So they called Gabby. Sabado ng gabi, Gabby, I think, read the script. Sort of brushed through the script. And then Sunday, I think, kinonfirm kung okay sa kanya. Kwento mo na lang mamaya kung paano nangyari yun. And then, Sige, yun. Kwento mo nung tinawagan ka.
Okay, para ano. Tsaka, what about the script that made you say yes?
So it was a Saturday night. I got a call from Direk Dan Villegas. And tinanong niya ako, first question niya sa akin, may Japan visa ka ba? Hi, Direk. Meron po. Bakit? Okay, may project ako. Ganito, send ko sa'yo yung script. So, sinend niya sa akin, binasa ko. Nagustuhan ko siya because it felt very personal. And it was something that I could relate to as well. So, for me, that was my initial reason. And also, I've worked with Direk Dan a lot of times, and I'll always say yes to him. So I got back to him. I told him, I read the script. And this was still Saturday night. Is this a film that you guys are working on? Like, when do you need me? Next few months, weeks? Because it seems like you guys are rushing. Tomorrow. As in, fly out tomorrow to Tokyo and then 6-7 hour trip to Rikuzen Takata. And it was one of those serendipitous things where my schedule aligned and it felt like in my gut I had to do it. So I'm always up for a challenge. I said yes, and the next day I was on a flight to Tokyo, and we arrived 2 a.m. that Sunday.
Ano yun?
Is it Monday morning?
Sinabihan ka ng Sunday, nalilipat ka ng Monday. Monday lumipat ka, dumating ka ng Rikuzen Takata ng 2 a.m.
2 a.m. Tapos call time ko, 8 a.m.
Tuesday yun.
Tuesday. Tapos yung first scene ko, naalala ko pa, was our lawyer scene. Which was so talky. And then I remember just thinking, habang kinakram ko yung lines ko, bakit ang daldal nito? Bakit hindi ko po mysterious lang siya? But everything happened the way it did, and it was very exciting, but I think it also made it very meaningful, and here we are.
Tapos, lunchtime nun eh. So, wala kaming moment to...
Get to know.
Walang ganun, sabak agad. So, when we got a chance to sit down together for a lunch, umupo ako beside Gabby. Sabi ko sa kanya, alam mo ba na iniiwasan kita? Sabi ko sa kanya. Because, not in a bad way, in a sense that Gitling was 2023 in Sinimalaya. Tapos, my film, actually, yung story ako na pinasa sa Sinimalaya was a male Filipino, which is Errol, and a Reina. So it was actually a sort of a reverse character of Gitling. So I decided, sabi ko, para hindi i-connect sa Gitling, i-rewrite ko siya. So nagre-write ako, nag-reflect ako on it, tapos sabi ko, mas okay sa akin na 2 babae na lang. So, ayan, 2 babae. So, most probably, okay naman, no? Hindi naman nila i-connect sa Gitling. Tapos, tapos, Sabado ng gabi, sabi ni Direk Dan, nagre-ready kami. Kasi hindi ako nagtatanong kung sino yung... Sabi ko lang, sige, just let me know kapag ready na tayo. Then, okay. Sabi niya sa akin, Gabi Padilla, okay sa'yo? Sabi ko, Gabi? Padilla? Gitling, sabi ni Direk Dan. Oh. Sabi ko, pero it's not something na, sabi ko lang, wow, iba to I mean, this is fate telling me na, okay, di ba parang, kaya nung umupo kami with sabi ko, I think we are really meant to do this together. Kasi of all people, nakaharap namin that time, si Gabby. So it was really something. I always tell her about that. You know, parang, sabi ko, I think, nire-write ko yung script para gawin talaga natin to. So,
actually, PSA lang talaga to. I-renew yung Japan visa niya.
Oo nga, swerte na meron kang existing na visa. Siguro bago ko ipasa sa audience, nung pinapanood ko kanina sa baba, kasi na-spill over kami dapat, wala pa lang. We were expecting 200 register. So, next time, and thank you na nag-appear kayo. Kasi we were expecting a lot, but this is also a full house. Nung pinapanood ko, it really felt yung parang very Japanese, yung aesthetics na hindi siya yung typical na, sorry kung tama, if this is a sweeping statement na, pag Filipino film, di ba medyo malakas, yung boses, yung medyo, parang may ganung ina-expect mo. Ito ba, you were really obviously deliberate. How did you go through ano yung process mo in deciding that it should be a very calm and
The Japan I know is very quiet. It's
Okay.
not the Tokyo,
Yeah.
kasi palagi ako sa Tohoku area.
Mhm.
But Japan is a very quiet country in a sense.
yeah.
Parang,
Even yung mga tao nga, di ba? Very
bawal salita sa ano. Although Tokyo kasi is a very busy city. So most tourists, pagka nasa tourist spots, of course, maingay. Pero in general, like for example, to 2024, New Year, alam mo, nagbibilang ka 10, 9, 8, tapos pagdating sa 1, wala as in totally silent. Lalo na sa probinsya, lalo na sa isang probinsya na nawalan ng malaki. So, that quietness is actually something that I always encounter or experience. So, it's not just based on films or even though I know I'm a big fan of Koreeda, but the thing is, and even Ozu, pero ganun yung mawi-witness mo talaga sa isang, lalo na sa isang syudad na nawalan. So, yes, it is deliberate because I want, sabi ko nga nung nagpipitch ako sa Sinimalaya, it is a sort, the milieu is Japan. So, malinaw yun kung sino yung references,
Ikaw, Gab, what was it like working with the other actress, yung Japanese?
Si
Alisa.
Yes. Oo. And the fact na last minute kang nasama din sa
Opo.
project, so wala kayong preparation or
Opo.
anything. Yeah, so
I think the nature of how it all happened kind of helped kasi yung characters namin, wala naman kaming prior history. So it made sense na we were getting to know each other as we were making the film, and so it made it feel organic that we really were like navigating that relationship. Arisa, I knew her because of Perfect Days, which is one of my favorite films. And she's a really, really generous actor. She understands and can speak English, so it was easy to connect with her. But she was just such an open, very collaborative actor, and yeah, something as daunting as doing this film, knowing it the day before, was made so much easier because I was working opposite someone like Arisa.
meron bang tanong sa audience? Sige. Paano ba yun? Sige, abutin mo na.
Hello po. First of all, congratulations po for the film. I really enjoyed it. I just wanted to ask po, what were some of your inspirations, like specific films or directors that really inspired you to make the film? Kasi, ayun nga, I really enjoyed the pacing. Very Japanese na yung pacing niya with some of the films that I've watched. And so, interested din po ako kung ano yung pinagkuhanan niya ng inspiration.
Ano naman, really, mga popular naman na references like Koreeda nga, mga pelikula niya, lalo na nung nandun ako sa Japan, pinapanood ko ng paulit-ulit yung mga iba't iba niyang pelikula. Our Little Sister, Shoplifter, Still Walking, yung mga ganyan. So, tapos, of course, based nung pag-aaral before Ozu, but because I was an artist in residence since 2010, going back and forth in Japan, yung kultura ng Japan somehow hindi naman naaral, it's mostly parang na-observe ko na. So it's not just films, it's yung buhay mismo. Kaya rin siguro when I was there in Bikusan Takata, it is something that really resonated to me because iba yung reformation na nakita ko dun sa lugar. Pero yun, isa yun sa mga, of course, Makoto Shinkai, Ghibli films, yan, yung mga. Kaya mayroong parang sort of dream sequence. I would like to integrate that, the spirit of deer, di ba parang yun. So, maraming influence and a nod to their cinema. Salamat.
Hello. Ayan. Mahilig din ako sa mood ng parang Hapon, di ba? Yung mga pelikula nila. Ang interesting lang din sa akin, I think, nung pinapanood ko siya, naaalala ko din yung mga talking heads na mga Pilipinong pelikula, no? Na medyo napasin mga dating kong tadhana. Kasi actually parang dalawa kayong character na parating nag-uusap sa pelikula. So I think may aspetong yun, part before Sunrise Well at saka dating kong tadhana. Yung tanong ko dito, nung sinusulat siya, interesting sa akin, ilang araw yung kwento? Parang sa ilang araw naganap yung kwento?
Yung original. Masama yung original.
Nagtataka din ako kasi para medyo mabilis yung paggalaw nung kwento na medyo hindi ko siya inasahan. Na mabagal man yung takbo nung paano siya kinuwento, mabilis din siya kung tutuusin sa mundong yun. Kumbaga.
Itong napanood nyo, pili ko mga 2 linggo lang. Mga ganyan. Pero I was hoping that, or baka less pa, because originally the script has a more longer, pero that's one of the things that I really learned from making this first film. Not everything will be, given to you in a sense na, meron pa dati, hiking scene, iniisip ko. Sabi ko, gusto ko mag-hike. Meron talaga nakasulat hiking scene. Tapos, ang tanong sa akin, isang tanong lang, nung assistant director, nung nag-ocular kami. Direct, paano kapag umulan or nag-snow? Sabi ko, sige na. Tanggapin ko na. Kasi it's something that I would like, of course, ang goal ko talaga is magawa yung pelikula and learn from it. All of the things that they asked me are things that I need to understand na, okay, wala tayong budget. We only had 8 days. Gabby had 7 days to shoot. Tapos, of course, sumunod pa kami sa EGL noon, may turnaround, kahit pa paano, Tapos, from 120 sequences, naging 60, down to 52. So, there's a lot of things na. But, that's something that I needed to understand in making this art. So, parang, minsan meron kang i-sketch, pero at some point, tatanggalin mo na yung iba. When we were building it, ang sabi ko lang nung nag-usap kami ng editor, it's okay for me to feel na parang ang pakiramdam niya parang tsunami din. Mabagal yung pagdali. Kasi ang pagpunta ng tsunami, kala mo, tagal-tagal. Pero ang bilis-bilis nung pagkahinahatak niya na pabalik. So, may dalawa kasing point di ba? And everything basically happens like that. Even in the film, it's like yung tsunami na idea, the waves, mabilis, tapos mabagal. May ganung aspeto siya. So, yeah. Isa yan sa mga critic ng mga tao. It feels so fast at some point. But, minsan gano'n. Nangyayari naman yan. Thank you.
Hello po. Good afternoon. Ask ko lang po, since yung recurring po ng movie is grief, for Gabby po, paano niyo po na internalize yung ganoong emotion within like sobrang bilis na moment? Since marami po kayo naka-ahead na schedule and such, like, paano niyo po siya na-internalize and like, na-portray as a character since yung dialogues natin, even if may talking siya, parang it's silent din na parang papakita mo na malungkot ka, galit ka, pero at the same time, kailangan mong i-accept and forgive yung mga bagay. And for direct naman po, it comes to their po dun sa like location, sa people, paano po kayo nakipag-interact with them, knowing they have this grief na this is what happened to their place, to their location, and in a way, they're reliving it in this movie. So, ayun po yung questions. Thank you po.
Thank you. For me, it really hit close to home because I had lost my dad in 2015. And so the grief aspect of the storytelling was something that I think I'm still navigating. It's not linear. And then also, I have a sister. So I know it's a familiar dynamic. You're getting to know your sister at different points in your life. And also just being in this space like Rico and Takata where there's so much shared grief and mourning and rebuilding. It really helps you get into the character din talaga. So, I remember on our first few days, we were spending our time in the memorial park where we were walking through. And it was beautiful, but I mean, you felt the pain and the context behind what made it so beautiful now. And that made it so easy to get into that. But like anything, when you revisit something that painful, it seeps into, your own life. And so that experience was very cathartic for me because that helped me process a lot of what I was still feeling inside. And so I'm really grateful to this film because it was, in a way, therapeutic talaga, making this and telling this story.
Thank you for your question. 2013, I started going to Rio Santa Cata. Naalala ko pa when I ask the people that I meet there to, in a way, tell me the story of the city. Pag nagkukwento sila, yung mata nila ang layo-layo eh. Kahit kaharap mo lang sila. So, 2013 I went there, 2014, 2016, 2017, 2019, 2023. So it was not just one thing. I first met a girl, 9-year-old siya nun. Anak siya nung naging kaibigan ko na hanggang ngayon. Ngayon, 20 na siya. So yung pinagbasihan ko silang dalawa, silang magnada yung pinagbasihan ko nung Reyna yun. Wala naman siyang trauma, but we weren't able to really talk about what happened to the city kasi bata pa siya nun eh. So it's really my way of just letting them know how I felt about the city. So gradual siya, pag-intindi sa mga taong na kakasalamuha ko at mga naging kaibigan ko sa lugar. Again, all of the clips that you saw in the poetry are real clips that I took during my residency. Tapos nag-interject na lang kami sa dulo ng mga photos ni Arisa at saka ni Gabby to make it part of the film. Pero even the postcard project is real. So all of the people who responded sa postcard project are real. So all of those things are, in a way, para sa documentary, nung experience ko dun sa lugar. So lahat ng videos na nakita nyo sa poetry, even the deer sa poetry, hindi yung sa dream, sa poetry, yung dumaan sa yun sa dulo, yun, totoo rin yun, by chance, nakamit ako ng deer hunters doon, although inimbento ko na lang yung tungkol sa deers. But the thing is, it was hindi siya basta-bastang inilagay sa isang storya. It was something that I also thought at naramdaman sa kanila. Natutunan din. I started writing this film as part of my healing process din, sa sarili kong pagbabago sa buhay. So, 2019 ko siya sinulat eh. So, 2018, may pinagdaanan akong isang malupit. Tapos sabi ko sa sarili ko, when I'm gonna write something, it's something that will help me understand what I've been going through. So, yun yung una kong ginawa. Kaya nung unang draft ng script, parang tungkol pa sa akin. So, at some point, biglang lumayo na siya ng lumayo. It really became the city. So, yun. So, naging proseso rin siya. Share ko lang, when they saw it this time, when we were able to show it last June, at the same time, itong taon na to, they really accepted the film as their own, as something that they really felt. Some of them even told us na, some of them, hindi naman nakalimutan, but it's something that reminded them of that particular memory that hindi na dapat nilang makalimutan. No? It's not about the tragedy, it's always about the rebuilding. Yun. Thank you.
Good afternoon po. For Miss Gabby po, ask ko lang po, since sabi niyo nga po, you were able to relate to the character. In the short span of time po, how were you able to process yung character niyo po? And at the same time, separate yourself to your character and
It's tricky talaga. Parang there is no clear line between your character and yourself sometimes, especially if kung may Venn diagram, madaming nag-overlap. And also because I didn't have enough time to prepare, I felt like I really just had to go there agad. In fact, when I was reading the script, one of my best friends was telling me, baka matrigger ka dyan, ha? Baka you're stepping into dangerous territory. And I think at the time I was just really set on doing this thing that I didn't think of it that way. And so I remember one of the scenes that we had to shoot was difficult. And I think my body was trying to protect me from mentally going there. But in order to get the scene right, I had to. And it took me a while to come back after Direk Kaliat cut. And those things happen talaga. But I think, if anything, what I learned was it's important that in those moments, you have a team who will help you get back and will help ground you. And I was very lucky that our AD, Daphne, Direk Dan, everyone just kind of showed up for me in that moment. Because at the end of the day, we're telling stories, but we're dealing with the real trauma of people. And so it's never easy. Your body doesn't know that it's acting. It's reliving that pain. But it also helps it make sense of it, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think it's just important that there's aftercare there, and I was really lucky that I had that with it.
Naalala ko yun eh. Pagkatas na eksena namin, so we needed to debrief Gabby. Tapos, umakit na siya. Tapos kaming dalawa ng AD, si Daphne Esplana. Sobrang, first time ko siyang mamit at makatrabaho doon. Pero sobrang sa kanya ako kumapit nun. Kasi nga first time ko, and she really guided me all throughout. Tapos sabi niya, sige tara, ready ka na, debrief na natin si Gabby. So habang umaakit kami, sabi ko, wait, Daphne, ako muna debrief mo. Kasi tapos nag-breakdown ako sa kanya, kasi pang 5 araw ata namin yun. Tapos, dun ko na-realize na, oh no, iba pala talaga to. Iba tong ginagawa namin. We're dealing with real emotions at the same time. Kasi nung si Arisa ganun din eh. When she did one scene, ang tagal niya bago makabalik. I mean, ang tagal namin siyang kino-comfort. And doon ko na-realize na iba to sa ginagawa ko ah. Sa pagpipinta, sa paggawa ng music video, it's really very different. So I was overwhelmed. So sabi ko sa kanya. Sabi ko doon sa assistant director si Daphne, ako muna. Tapos okay ka. Tapos niyakap niya lang ako. Tapos sabi niya, okay ka na. Okay na ako. So yeah.
The questions for Direk. Curious lang kung may backstory yung tatay. Kasi yung Filipino and Japanese connection, medyo pinagtatagpi-tagpi ko lang when I was watching the movie. Pero meron ka bang backstory? Curious lang.
He's an architect. He is one of those people na nagtrabaho sa Japan 1990s. Or 1995 actually, to be exact in my mind. Tapos, mas draftsman kasi hindi ka naman makakakuha ng mataas na trabaho sa mas mataas sa kanila. So it's really, he works in that particular position. May pamilya siya, si Ella at yung nanay ni Ella, which is si Leslie. And then, of course, he's not a perfect Filipino. Nasa ibang bansa, nalure sa isang ganda ng isang bansa, at sa tao dito, sa bansa na yun, at nagkaroon ng ibang babae. At yun yung naging nanay ni Reyna. So, it's also a commentary about Filipino diaspora, pero dun sa naiiwan, dun sa naapektuhan. At the same time, I wanted a Filipino being represented. At least, kahit pa paano, sa pelikula na to, hindi siya illegal alien, hindi siya nagtrabaho doon as illegal. Nagkataon lang, natuto siyang magmahal ng iba. Parang ganyan. Or, yun, dun siya napunta. So it's very, in a way, human, yun, pareho yun, may pagkakamali siyang gano'n. The thing that changed their lives is actually the tsunami. Kasi when the tsunami happened, dahil rin siya, part yun ng trabaho niya, he was part of rebuilding the city. And he was part of being there for his daughter Reyna and wasn't able to go back to Ella. So the tsunami really changed the trajectory of their lives in a sense, or their connection. So yun yung kanyang sort of backstory. He loves taking photographs and videos. But he's not really sort of an artist. He's just there to observe and everything. So, pero may artistic side siya, in a sense. So, yun yung backstory ni Eman. So, yun yung siya. So, a little bit of everything, the character has a little bit of everything in me, in a sense. Parang ako. Tapos, yun, kung itatanong nyo, boses ko rin yun kasi wala kaming pera. So, yun na lang. No?
Actually, iniisip ko kung Japanese yung tatay. Kasi baka siyang Japanese.
Oh, kasi I think
Sino yung mama niya?
I'm
Sino
sorry.
kinuha mo na for the picture of the
Ano talaga yun, photo manipulated na yun. Pero may kamukha nun, yung original na artista. So, hindi na namin siya nabagi. Pero,
okay.
I think that's part of the thing. Like, for example, may nagtatanong din, bakit si Rina Japanese na? Ano? Kasi pagka nandun ka talaga, do you even look Japanese? I mean, it's not something na, hindi ka mag-open unless yung trabaho mo, ano talaga yan. Parang. But yeah, it's something like that. And at the same time, it's also a way for me to put a different light dun sa sitwasyon niya na pagka Pilipino nakatira at namumuhay sa Japan at may pamilya, palaging the other way around, the reverse. So, pero meron naman, merong kwento. So it's something that I would like to interject dun sa pagkukwento naman.
This question was kind of touched on already, but I think I was just curious what the process was like researching the historical milieu of the film, because like given your context as like a Filipino director, what was it like trying to understand that specific historical moment and also like the culture in the town, and what was that process like? I understand that it was an accumulation of many interactions and many years of being in that area. But I guess I'm interested in like the nitty-gritty, like what would that entail, and also how did you ensure that you were being culturally sensitive in tackling?
I think one of the things that that really helped me shape this story, or at least what we have presented, is really being there. I mean, being there, say, ano ba, 2010 I was in Tohoku area, in Omori. 2011 tsunami happened. 2011, 5 months after tsunami, I went to Japan as part of my seeing the place itself and being there and understanding kahit paano, ano ba yung pagkakaiba nito sa atin, paano sila mag-cope in a sense, paano nila ginawa ito. So I was able to witness that firsthand, not just witness, but to be really there dun sa lugar. I experienced the idea of, just walking around this particular city and trying to understand ano ba yung meron dito dati, ano yung nawala na. Talk to a lot of people and interacted with them. I think one of the things that helped me is, as an artist, I was there to just really observe. Parang mangulit ka lang ng mga bagay na nakikita ko at nai-encounter ko. So yun lang yung ginawa ko for the past several years. I didn't thought of making a film or anything. So the research was not about trying to just interview people, but really to live in that city that is reforming. So I've seen the city na gumagawa muna sila ng conveyor belt because they wanted to get resources sa mountain, put all of the rocks and all of the trees and all of this land in the city. So yung city na napanood nyo was actually tinaas siya ng 15 meters from the original land. Kasi nga, nung time na tsunami, some people really went to the ocean to watch. Because ang parang alert system nila hanggang 9 meters lang. So people thought na, okay, punta tayo, panoorin natin yung tsunami. May 18 meters pala yung tsunami. So it really went beyond it. So all of these stories came from talking to the people, witnessing yung mga landmarks nila, talking to a lot of, yung mga postcard project, that was my way of, yung postcard project, that was my way of really asking them, nasan sila, where were you, so may mga iba, sinasabi nila, itong bahay ko, nirebuild ko na lang to, tapos makikita mo dyan, ito yung mark ng tsunami, tapos after tsunami, ang ginawa ko, pinulungan ko yung mga kakapitbahay ko mag-build kasi in a way for me to remember my son, mga ganyang kwento. So, iba't iba. So, all of those things that I encountered, parang inipon ko lang siya. Tapos, ang maganda doon, when I go back again, iba na naman yung ma-encounter mo sa city. So, parang gradually nakikita mo yung pagbabago niya. At the same time, may ibang hope na at ibang social issues na lumilitaw kasi nga from being displaced because of the disaster, because the city was wiped out, nagkaroon sila ng mga micro-communities. So yung mga temporary residences. The temporary residences, they were given to them by the government to stay there for 5 years. Free. Yung bahay, yung tubig, yung kuryente, yung gas. Tapos ang gagawin nila is to rebuild their spirit in a sense. Parang mas maayos sila makabangon. Tapos, within those micro-communities, micro-temporary residences, nakabuild sila ng sarili nilang parang sistema. Every morning, magkakape sila, so meron silang sarili nila. Tapos, biglang 2016, yung city nagkakaroon na ng mga apartment, kaya kailangan na nilang umalis doon at kailangan na nilang lumipat ulit. One of the things na naramdaman ng mga matatanda is, nilipat na naman ako, baka panibagong, na naman to, being moved, parang ganyan. Parang panibagong buhay na naman, tapos lalagay nyo lang kami sa box, parang ganyan. Kasi nga, apartment. Diba? So it became a different thing again. So that, 2016 started my inquiry about the idea of displaced or displacement sa lugar nila. Kaya 2018, we invited some Japanese and even yung survivor here in Manila para naman ituro or pakita sa kanila yung konteksto ng displacement sa atin. So, nagpunta kami dati dito, 2018. Tapos nag-deliver na sa akin yung displaced. So, when I was trying to make this film in 2019 or write this film, yung title really, automatic siya sa akin, displaced. Parang kasi nga, yun yung pinagkaroon ako sa utak ko ever since. Yung displacement, displaced, being moved, di ba? Parang lahat sila, kahit si Ella was displaced. Parang ganun. So, yun yung isang nakaano doon. So, I think that really helped me understand more. And yung culturally sensitive. So, nung sinulat ko, pinabasa ko sa mga kaibigan kong Hapon, consulted all of them. Nuances that I felt na natutunan ko sa kanila. Like for example, yung pinaupo siya sa unang upuan. Hindi natin makikits yun, pero sa kanila, it means a lot. Because that's supposed to be its first family. So, yung mga ganun, lahat yung consulted. Tapos even when we were making the film, lahat yun. Even yung pagsuot ng kimono, I think. You can share that.
So that was the first time that I'd worn like a traditional kimono. I think in pop culture, we just think it's a simple robe with a few layers, but this needed 2 people to put on because it's such an intricate, exact science. And so down to those details, they were very careful and very respectful. Kasi syempre you don't want to make it a costume lang or a backdrop. So we were lucky enough to have the resources to have the people who were doing that and helping us tell the story accurately.
Tapos may Filipino community doon, nandun sila sa birthday scene, merong mga local Japanese din na nakatira doon. They were also part sa funeral scene naman. So, mga Hapon sa funeral scene, mga Pilipino sa birthday scene. So, intentional naman.
Tapos yung pagkain namin sa birthday scene, luto yun ng mga Filipino community titas. Because they're so helpful. They were so happy to be part of the...
Si Arisa, mahilig sa kumain. So, living the life.
Hello. Good afternoon po. I really enjoyed the film po and would like to congratulate you. I really enjoyed the detail po na parang yung first time na makita ni Ella si Reyna. It was the funeral of the father, pero parang yung naging culmination ng reconciliation nila was yung birthday ni Reyna. And parang may circular moment dun ng life and death. So, my question, I guess this is more personal, pero having worked on the project, how do you better navigate and reconcile the tensions of death and life in your work and lifestyle, especially considering the situations we're all facing through in the present? Thank you.
How do we navigate?
How do I reconcile life and death and all of that in between
Yeah, in your
in my work?
and life.
How do you? Pinalik.
I think in general, I do what I do. Like I act and I do this for a living because it's the only way I know how to make sense of my life. It's the only way I learned how to process and understand people. And so I think that covers life, death, grief, all these milestones. A lot of what I learned in my early years was the things that I was watching in film and in TV that informed so much of who I was as a person. And so I guess I hope this is answering your question. So with the art that I make now, I hope I get to do that for someone who's watching too. And so when someone's struggling through grief or when someone's struggling through a misconnection or connection, I hope they see that story on screen and they feel seen and they get a clearer version of what life is. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's how I make sense of the world. So, thank you.
Yung sabi ko din to dati, yung ginawa ko sa Sinimalaya, it's something that I really want to connect with my son. Yung ginawa ko tong pelikula na to, mas bata siya. Of course, sabi ko nga, because Takata really helped me understand my own process of grief. So, in a way, kaya inalaw ko na rin at pumayag ako na, sige, maging boses ko na yung sa poetry. Aside sa wala na tayong pambayad sa boses. At the same time, nahirapan kami maghanap ng gusto namin boses or gusto kong marinig. Sabi ko, sige, kahit pangit boses ko, pwede na yan. But I really wanted to put myself there in the sense that this, hopefully, sabi ko sa anak ko, balang araw, if ever you needed something, and if you are in that particular position na hindi mo alam gagawin mo sa buhay, and you need someone to talk to, and baka wala na ako nun, maybe this particular film will be able to resonate with you. So it is something na gusto kong sabihin sa kanya in a way that I hope my work will be able to, be with him as he grow older. Lalo na sa most difficult times ng buhay niya. So it's something that, yun yung iniisip ko lang. And ngayon, nailagay ko na siya doon. Gusto kong gumawa ulit, pero pang binatang version na. So sa iba naman. Ibang ano naman. But I think it's something that I really wanted to process with my own. So after doing it, pakalma ko rin siya eh. It's something that I always go back to kapag kailangan ko siya. So, Thank you. Salamat.
Thank you for the very generous answer a while ago, but I wanted to ask one last question, if everyone can indulge me. I'm so sorry. But one of the standouts in the film is the relationship between the two sisters. And I guess as someone who grew up with sisters, that's something that really resonated with me. Like all the small gestures and the contradictions between loving them but also kind of being jealous of them. I think the film was able to capture that, and I'm so curious about what it was like to develop that kind of that relationship, like for the actors, and also in writing the script. What was it like to develop that kind of dynamic?
Pa namin dinevelop. I think sobrang klaro lang ng trajectory ng relationship namin when we were making it. I think it's very clear the way Direk wrote it, where we stood with each other as we were going through the story. And so Direk would talk to me separately, talk to Arisa separately, and we were very clear with our own motivation so that when we showed up in the space to do the scene, nararamdaman mo yung tension kasi yung objective ng isa is not necessarily the same as the others. So I think yun. I think the clarity from the script and the clarity from Direk's notes. And it was so interesting working with a visual artist who is not a director first because his notes were not so technical. They were very abstract. And so I think it helped us get into that space of a feeling rather than a more tangible thing.
Siguro kasi nga, maybe because I know the place. Even sasabihin ko sa kanila, ito yung, like, for example, sa bridge, ito yung, yung sa bridge, yung last part, wherein they're talking about the name for the baby. That's the last point where the tsunami umabot eh. So for me, it's very important. So sinasabi ko sa kanila yun, sinasabi ko kila dun sa crew. Kasi medyo malayo siya from where we are, a little bit. No? Pero sabi ko, importante siya. So all of these things somehow help them. For me, kahit nung nirewrite ko siya from a male character to a female character, I grew up with 3 sisters, elder sisters. So I grew up na nung nawala rin yung father ko, talagang puro babae yung nakapaligid sa akin. So all of those observations or in a way, life experience, kahit pa paano, nakatulong siya to my writing. Pero of course, I didn't really get to put a lot of my sister's personalities there. But there was some parts of their life. For example, yung sa bili ng nanay, o yung sa tour, huwag mong kakalimutan. Kasi it's really a nod to my mother. Palagi niyang paulit-ulit na lang yan. Para sasabihin niya pag babiyahe, yung sa tour, nilagay mo na ba sa wallet mo? Nilagay ko na po. So parang it's really something that it was part of my growing up in a sense.
Sorry, Jay. Ano yung sa to?
It's a Latin prayer siya.
Okay.
Nanay ko kasi,
Yung mga gawin, parang,
nanay ko, nagdadasal yun, very Catholic, pero yung altar niya, sobrang daming ko na so, gano'n, very Pinoy. So, thank you.
Hello po ulit. Tanong ko lang po is, curious na po ako dun sa Filipino community if like na-experience din po ba ng tsunami? If like yung survivors din po, ano po yung experience nila ganun po? Thank you po.
I found them in a Catholic church. Kasi nung pumunta ako sa Takata, sabi ko, I asked them, may Filipino community ba dito? Kasi most of the time, meron naman. And they said, yes, meron. Meron ako nakilala. And then if you want to meet them, you can go to the church. So doon kami nagpunta. The Filipino community was formed after the tsunami because they all went to the church after. So naapektuhan sila. Marami sa kanila na-meet namin nasa temporary residence na nakatira. So their houses were wiped out as well. So they are the ones who were there in the birthday scene. Lalo na isa, yung nagsindi ng kandila, isa sa mga naging ate ko doon. So, thank you.
Hello po. So you mentioned po that the protagonist was originally going to be a man, and po. So my question is, what was the story behind the choice of juxtaposing this father figure to 2 daughters, and then one of those daughters eventually will have her own child, and she's bringing that kind of trauma into her own attitudes towards her child. Na parang meron na siyang intergenerational trauma nun. So, parang tingin niya, dapat hindi na siya makipag-associate sa tatay ng anak niya. And po. Wait lang. Sorry. So, for Gabby Padilla naman po, parang, oh my God, I love you. And I want to to know how you find that chemistry with your co-actress. Like, parang there's that, there's that tension in the beginning, tapos there's that connection afterward. Like, it's just so good. So much.
Like, answer first.
Sige.
I think the tension was really real tension from not knowing how I was going to do the role. But yeah, because Arisa was kind of a stranger to me when we had started, so it was quite easy to have that distance. And then as we were going through, we were getting closer, and the warmth was there, and it was palpable. And again, I said she was a very open person. In terms of chemistry, I feel like that's a testament to my scene partner more than it is. I mean, she's just such a generous actor, so she made it so easy.
Ang tanong mo is kung paano siya umabot sa ganun, yung character.
What inspired that choice?
Actually, the inspiration is the process of writing. I mean, the film is also a proof of someone like me making my first film, navigating through my first, screenplay as well. So it was a process for me to understand how to develop a character. So nung tinranslate ko na siya sa female character, parang parts by parts siya, na unti-unting lumilitaw sa akin. So the inspiration is not from anyone. So it was something that I was trying to understand with the character. So nung iniisip ko si Ella, yung restraint niya, yung kanyang backstory at kung bakit siya pupunta ng what will push her to go to represent Takata. Dun siya nabuo Dun ko siya nabuo. So it was also, in a way, led me to that particular decision to make her pregnant, to make her say this, to make her decide on this, and ganyan. Even the idea of questioning, para questions din sa sarili niya, kung bakit siya gano'n, kung bakit siya ganyan. So, yun, maliliit lang na bagay that hopefully push the plot or the story forward. Thank you.
Singit lang ako, bakit curator? Si Ella.
Yan, parang part siya ng mga maliliit na parte ko, parang ganyan. Kasi si Ray na, even sa sound, sa music, i-share ko na rin, the music has 3 different notes. The lower part is the father in Represent Takata. The middle part is na nagsusustain palagi is Ella. And then the fluttering part is Reyna. Which is, sa personalities nila, si Reyna yung, dahil nga, nilagay ko siya as painter kasi kailangan niyang, meron siyang paglalabasan ng emosyon niya because of what she has witnessed. So siya yung mas sensitive, siya yung mas unpredictable, hindi siya stable. But I needed someone na mas logical, mag-isip. Someone na nagpo-proseso ng mga bagay-bagay. Someone na ayaw niyang pumunta, pero pumunta siya at naiintindihan niya yung lugar. Kahit na ayaw niya ito. So, ganyan. So, I wanted her to be someone who processed this. So, nung inisip ko, sabi ko, okay, sige. Parang feeling ko, anthropology siya, pero nag-work siya as a curator sa isang museum. Sa Ateneo Art. So, anthropology section ng isang museum. So, technically yun. Yun yung kanyang pinoproseso.
Oh, congratulations po. Sobrang galing. Ang ganda ng pelikula. For Direct J, how is it like discovering your process as a first-time director? Your process of communicating your vision to your actors who are experienced, and what's next for you? And for Gabby, sobrang favorite ko yung eksena na hinatid ka ni Reyna sa kwarto mo on your first night, and then you broke down, and it was just so subtle and gorgeous and just full of depth. And paano mo nabigyan ng ganong klaseng depth si Ella kung ganon kabilis yung how you stepped into the role, parang one-day preparation, and you're a theater-trained person and you're used to crafting your characters over time, di ba?
Yeah.
So, paano mo siya nabigyan ng ganong klaseng depth agad? Short amount of time. Yeah, thank you.
Honestly, I had such clear direction from Direct J talaga. I think inalalayan niya din ako kasi naiintindihan niya nga yung nature ng pag-join ko sa project. But he really would walk me through what he wanted, where he thought I was in the story, where the tsunami was, where the flow, the current was. And so in that particular scene, I remember he was making it very clear to me that this whole day you have been masking and you're just exhausted. And so more than it being your grief, it's really just the pure physical, emotional, mental toll taking. Just like, this is the only moment you have alone in the entire time that you've arrived. And so, how would you communicate that? And so to have those questions asked, despite the lack of time, I think to me was very super, super helpful. And we had done it a few times. We tried a different thing, and we also had Direk Dan, who was our cinematographer, but he also was very present in terms of his input. So having the both of them there to kind of try different things was very helpful.
Siguro
Also, I love you so much.
Siguro nakatulong din na naiintindihan mo yung biniyahe ni Ella. Kasi biniyahe mo yun. Malayo yung representation. It's really... Kumbaga, if nag-arrive ka sa Tokyo ng 11, pupunta ka doon kahit via train, darating ka doon gabi talaga. So it was something that she was able to experience. So, hindi ko yung moment na yun.
Method yun.
Naramdaman niya talaga yun. So it's something na... thank you for, I think we haven't been introduced, pero I know you. But I really owe it to Direk Dan and the whole team to make me understand na, okay, sabi niya nga sa akin noon, ikaw yung director, you direct, focus on directing, ibang bagay kami bahala. Noong una, February naalala ko, may nagsushoot sa likod sa Takata ibang pelikula. Tapos na-anxiety ako noon kasi sabi ko, bakit alam nila yung likod sa Takata? And then well anyway, it was something that I felt na stress ako kasi may ibang gumagawa. Kami hindi pa kami makapag-shoot. Sabi lang sa akin, sinabi ko kay Direk Dan yun, sabi ko, Direk Dan, na-stress ako. Sabi niya lang sa akin, bakit? Kasi ganito, ganyan. Ang sabi niya lang sa akin, huwag ka mag-alala, hindi ka namin pababayaan ito. So, yun yung sinabi niya. So, when he told me that, kumalma naman ako, tapos sabi ko, sige, I promise. Palagi niya sa akin sinasabi, galingan mo lang. Tapos nakagabay siya sa akin nakagabay yung buong team. Daphne, grabe si Daphne. Palagi ko sinasabi sa kanya, Daphne, pag sa next film ko, sana ikaw pa rin. I mean, all of them, I asked them na si Ero pa rin, si Direk Dan pa rin, because making this film with them was really something na hindi lang siya educational for me, na marami ako natutunan sa sarili ko, but marami ako natutunan sa kanila. Marami silang tanong sa akin, minsan kahit si Angel na nakasimangot, na parang, pero yung tanong niya sa akin, napapaisip ako, kasi wait, nasa na rin. Then, it's a collaborative process that I really in-embrace ko sa proseso. And sabi nga ni Direk Dan, when you go to a shoot, leave your egos behind. And buti na wala naman ako ego. So it was something na very, very collaborative for me. And nakita ko yun sa mga kasama ko. So I really learned a lot from them. So the whole process was for me to understand, ganito pala to, ganyan pala. So, iba kasi, yung pinagalingan ko iba music video, art, so iba siya. Tapos yun, hoping na maproseso ko ulit to sa susunod na gagawin. We're trying to develop Ozzy and Oni. It's a 1995-1996 video. Ozone idea of Quezon City. But not about the tragedy, but about the people who were lost there in that time. About the youth pa rin. So something like that. So it's something that me and Angel is trying to develop that. Slowly, one step at a time. Naniniwala ako. Hindi bibigay sa'yo So you really need to work on it.
Okay po, hello po. Thank you so much po for that wonderful film. Kasi last year pa po ata siya pinapalabas sa UPFI tapos hindi ko po napatatimingan kasi maganda di full sakto sa schedule ko. So thank you for this one po. So yun po, yung sinabi po ni Direk about kay Ozu and Koreeda, tapos parang
bigla na lang po siyang nagbibigay ng ano sa akin, connection na, kaya pala ganito ang yung environment and yung feeling po na binibigay. Kasi I find it quiet suffering kasi yung minimize lang yung mga plottings and blockings po ng mga every cinematography na shots po. So, ang tanong ko po, nung nakita niyo na po siya ng whole film, ano po ang parang naging unang thoughts niyo while after seeing that kind of, kasi since narinig ko na po yung process niyo po, so, grabe po yung pinagdaanan yung process dyan. So, ano po yung unang thoughts niyo after seeing first time that film po? Thank you po.
The first time I watched it was the premiere. And then I remember just being stunned because it felt like an entirely different film. Because so much of it has evolved in post. And so I didn't even know that Direct J was going to incorporate his art into it. And then when I heard his voice, I was like, okay, voice actor. So I think it evolved into such a different kind of art form. And so I was watching it with fresh eyes, and it was such a gift then. Kasi I got to be a part of this thing, but it also was such a new experience for me. So.
Yun din. Ako, post-process, sabi nga ni Miss Maria, the editor, or the Maria Ignacio, sabi niya, editor ka rin eh, so alam mo to. Sabi ko, hindi, iba to eh. So he was trying to understand the whole process of putting, shifting some scenes. Minsan hindi ko matanggap, pero at some point, it made sense. So ginabayan niya rin ako doon. So when I first watched it, takot ako, sabi ko, shit. Ano to? Parang ganun yung feeling eh, no? Parang, may manonood kaya. Tapos, ramdam ko naman na it's not a big film. It's really not a big film na parang papalakpakan pagkatapos. So, when we were watching it, pagkatapos yung, okay, pick lock na. Ganun lang ka, parang ako naman, okay, tapos patapos na, okay, we have a film. Okay. Tapos may mga sinasabi naman sila, but the thing is, okay, hindi ito yung, again, hindi siya ibibigay sa'yo eh. But I needed to understand na ito na ba talaga yun. So, paunti-unti, nung binubuo na namin siya ni Miss Maria, sabi ko, okay, this is what the film is now. So, ito na yun. So, lalaya na siya, bahala na kung paano tanggapin ng tao. But for me, binigay ko na lahat doon. So, it was something that I was able to do. Nung pinapanood ko na siya, siyempre masaya. First film ko siya. So, hanggang ngayon, pag pinapanood ko siya, masaya pa rin naman ako. Which is very important, I think. Yan, salamat. 6:16. Upstairs.
Guys, watch Anthropology. It's going to be embarrassing. I'm watching it.
Ito na sa
taas.
Yeah.
That's okay. Hello po. First of all, I would like to say thank you for this wonderful film, Direct, and of course, Miss Gabby. And personally, I saw like the message, like the waves being both like the traumatic and tragic experiences of the people in Japan during the tsunami, and also at the same time the grief, the unease of what Ella and Reina felt between each other, and towards the end the rebuilding and moving forward, as what Reina said at the end. So my question is for Derek. How was the script writing process behind that? Were there any challenges or like complications, and what advice could you give to someone who would be planning to like take up on like script writing as well?
Well, ang isang nagturo sa akin si Sir Ricky Lee. Pagkatapos, ang script doctor ko si Direk Dan Villegas at saka si Direk Pam Miras. Masalimuot yung pagsasala. Kasi mahabang proseso at the same time, ang daming pabalik-balik. Madami kang i-give up at some point because yung naging proseso ko nga, trying to understand na hindi siya ganun kadali eh. Dati pa akala ko being a music video director, nagiging ako music. Tapos, nung sinusulat ko siya, one thing that Direk Dan told me, write as a writer, don't write as a director, as an editor. Huwag ka muna rin maglagay ng so focus on that. Sabi niya, hindi mo rin muna kailangan maglagay ng establishing shot, remove that, parang ganyan. We was trying to understand, parang ano yan parang crash course of understanding how to write this, tapos isushoot nyo na. So everything should be kahit paano maayos, at the same time aligned sa gusto ng producers, at the same time gusto ng, gusto mo as a filmmaker, as a writer. They allowed me to write and rewrite. So walang interjection of anything, but they will always ask me. And so at some point, writing becomes a creative process of understanding na i-give up ko ba to or iglalaban ko to, yung mga ganyan. Pag pinaglaban ko to, isang araw to. As in, ito lang, ganyan. So, but I would like to make more of this thing. So I need to remove this. May kotse scene pa. Sa production, picture vehicle yun. So, maraming gastos na kailangan mo isipin at intindihan na creatively you need to reconstruct at some point. I was trying to learn that. I didn't allow myself to be too attached to the material na hindi ako makaka-give up. So it was something that I was trying to understand as a first-time writer then. So, things like that. Tapos, may mga bagay na sa script, pag binasa, sasabihin ng ibang kasama na parang hindi, anthropology siya bakit niya itatanong yung itadakimas? Hindi ba dapat alam niya na yan? So, doon mismo, iisipin ko, mag-reflect ako, and then I will try to communicate that to the two actresses. Like for example, yung tinanong ni Reyna yung kung ano ipapangalan sa ng anak ni Ella sa anak niya. It was also something that we just wrote on that particular time. So natutunan ko that writing is until you do the editing. Nagbabago yung kwento as you do it. May iba't ibang proseso siya habang sinusulat, habang sinushoot. Tama nga yun na ganun. Tapos at some point, when you were editing. So when I was writing, I was trying to understand how to creatively change some things and not lose the things that I would like to still have for the film or for the story. Even when I was shifting from a male character to the female character. May mga give up lang ako na hindi na babagay for Ella, mga ganung bagay. But yun, naging magandang proseso siya for me. Tapos down to the point, even subtitling has something to do with writing. The last line of Reyna has two different meanings, but it has the same sense that we would like to say to the represent Takata City, to the Japanese audience, specifically for those who felt tsunami. It was Arisa Nakano's version of her saying something, and it was my version of saying something through the subtitle. So magkaiba actually yun. That only them will notice. So part of writing is that, I think. Thank you.
So hi, magandang hapon. Konnichiwa. I really like the movie, and I do want to say that I think it was really amazing. I really enjoyed it, and my biggest takeaway would be that grief transcends language. So I just want to ask the both of you, do you both know Japanese? And if you don't, or if you do, how do you process and connect with other characters, other actors, with this without knowing Japanese? And was this a difficulty for you given language barrier personally? Thank you.
I don't speak Japanese, but I think we were dealing with a lot of very universal things, and so although there was a language barrier, we would connect in ways that we shared, like food. Half of our crew, half of our team was Japanese, and so we were getting to know each other through the snacks that we would kind of give each other. So yeah, the language barrier didn't get in the way. Actually, it made making this even more interesting. And I think, the way the subtitles turned out is a perfect example of how it really is an amalgamation of both languages, both backgrounds, both cultures.
I tried learning. Hirap. Bago ko gawin yung pelikula, sabi ko, mag-aaral ako. 1 month pa yun, online, asawa ng kaibigan ko hapon. Tapos, At some point, sabi niya, ba't di ka nagpapakita sa session na? Sabi ko, hirap na hirap ako eh. I mean, it's really something that I cannot do anymore. So I don't speak Nihongo, even though I went there for a long, parang paulit-ulit na nakikipag-interact sa kanila. But I think that also made me, in a way, confident na kaya to. Kasi being with them, it's not really difficult to, communicate. Kahit na alam mo yung language has this differences. Madali yung makipag-usap in a sense. But at the same time, we have to give props to our translator na Hapon, na marunong mag-Tagalog at English, at Hapon of course. So that made it easy for us to navigate. And Alisa can actually speak English. Para siyang si Reyna. Don't speak too much English, but she can understand fully, as in parang si Reyna. So gets na yung character. Thank you. Maraming salamat. Sini Balaya.
Sini
Gabi.
Yes, congratulations again. Thank you again for joining us for the screening, and to everyone, thank you for staying, especially. It's almost 6:30. So please, our next film actually is food delivery. We're bringing food delivery here. We're working with the other units, so it's going to be a bigger venue because I think some of the teachers will be requiring it. So I think I can say already the date. It's April 21. Naman. So we'll be posting it. So we're working on developing more film content and moving image content in our programming, and also in collaboration with the Arete unit, which manages the theaters. And yes, please,
Anthropology upstairs at the Doreen Theater. I think they're opening tomorrow and they're going to be running for a few weekends. So please support local theater.
Yes.